Hi, good morning, everybody. So I guess you've been enlightened by coming on P2P. So I'm here this morning on behalf of the Registered Digital Markets Association as well, in my capacity as president, to update you on the progress of equity crowdfunding in Malaysia from 2016 and 2019. Okay, because last year I think our reported date was up till, if I'm not mistaken, October, November last year. So there's a bit of data from the end of last year as well. Okay, so I'll be going through with you 4 key items this morning. So the fundraising of equity crowdfunding in Malaysia to date. And then we'll look at some of whether there's any differences in the investor traits and demographics, and some of the interesting key highlights that we'd like to share with you, and also some potential future outlook that we can look forward towards in the next coming year. Sorry, okay. For the benefit of those who are not familiar with equity crowdfunding in Malaysia, a little bit of history. So equity crowdfunding was regulated in the middle of, in June 2015. It was introduced by Securities Commission, and at that time, 6 companies were registered in Malaysia, including Ataplas. Following which, P2P came online the following year, end of 2016. And another 3 operators were approved by the Securities Commission come May 2019. So to date, this is the snapshot of the fundraising to date. So we've had 70 successful campaigns, and we have supported 69 SMEs to date, yeah? And majority are tech businesses. The maximum amount has been 5 million ringgit, okay, which is the threshold that's set by the guidelines. And the smallest amount that was funded for this year was 50,000 ringgit. And we've raised a total of 67.7 million as of to date since inception. So this is as of 30th September 2019, yeah? So just to give you the progression, so if you look at the numbers, right, for this year, there has been a slight drop compared to last year, but the numbers of published campaigns have increased. Yeah, so which means that, you know, there could be, or the amounts are smaller for each campaign that was raised. Successful campaigns to date has been 29. And I've shared the 5 million max and 50,000 for this year as minimum. So it can be relatively small. So that's been the smallest to date that we've raised for a campaign. Okay. So let's look at investors' demographics. The smallest investment that we have accepted to date has been 10 ringgit. Okay, so which shows that how accessible this type of investment is for, especially for the retail investors. And the largest single investment by an individual, okay, is 1 million ringgit. Okay, smallest foreign investment, 100 ringgit, and maximum has been 400,000. Okay, if you look at the investor type, what's interesting is that there's been an increase in participation from sophisticated investors. Yeah. If you look at, yeah. Previous year was 25, and currently has been 29, okay? When I move on to the next slide, you can see it actually corresponds to the increase in participation by baby boomers, yeah? So obviously, you know, as you get older, you tend to have more financial capacity to actually invest, all right? So, where's it like that? Okay, and in terms of male and female proportion, there has not been much change, okay? There's still active participation by the younger generation. We still find that there's a lot of interest from the millennials, okay, in this kind of asset class. So in terms of demographic spread, there has been an increase in participation from countries. Last year, there were over 2,000 investors from 25 countries, and it has increased by another 6 countries. Okay. So majority obviously are Malaysians, mainly because the origination of the campaigns are Malaysian-based businesses. Okay, this is the interesting bit. So the highlights for this year, we have seen 3 actually exits and returns given out to the equity crowdfunding investors. Okay, the first that I think everybody has seen in the media is Scholar Fund, and this is actually very interesting because Scholar Fund is a social enterprise. You know, they're an impact business. So when they raise funds in 2017, they raised slightly over 300,000 ringgit from 26 individual investors, and this is where that 10 ringgit minimum investment was for this particular campaign. And what the Scholar Fund does is they're actually a crowdfunding platform, and they actually source for scholarships, funds for scholarships from the crowd, as well as of, if I'm not mistaken, this year, they actually launched a platform to raise funds for those in need of emergency, healthcare-related emergency and medical requirements. Now, so what's interesting is that if you look at the scholarships, there has been an impact to 592 student beneficiaries over the 4 years of their lifetime. And but for the medical and other aids, they raised a staggering 1.2 million in just 4 months, right? It shows that the crowd, in terms of their sensitivity to healthcare requirements of the underserved is very, very high. And in September this year, they actually were totally bought out by a regional-based, another crowdfunding company, donation crowdfunding company, and it provided 10% returns to the investors. And we've actually talked to a few investors, and to them, the fact that that they could actually get some returns for an impact investment or social enterprise is really commendable to them, because for them what mattered was the impact that this particular company brought to society and to the environment as well. The next one is My Cash Online. This was also highly covered, publicized in the media. So My Cash Online is an e-marketplace specially designed for migrants, okay, for migrants. Initially started out for migrants in Malaysia and Singapore. Okay, they raised over 1.3 million ringgit from 19 investors on Pitchin platform, all right. Some of the key achievements, yeah, so they can now execute money transfers to over 45 global destinations, right? Some of the key locations in Asia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, and Pakistan. And they've expanded their services nationwide, not only in Malaysia and Singapore, but also Australia. So, early this month actually, so 500 startups offered to buy out the investors. So out of the 19 investors, 3 actually took up the offer. And the rest actually chose to stay, because they see further potential in this business to grow and to create value. And this is where we see the opportunity for investors, to come in at the early stage through equity crowdfunding. This is the opportunity, especially for retail investors. So it gave 44.2% returns just 2 years after the deal was closed. So this is the one that that was not publicized as yet. So this is the surprise to us as well. This is from Green Lagoon. They were one of the first, actually, biotech companies that raised funds through equity crowdfunding. And they raised slightly over 800,000 ringgit from 24 investors on CrowdPlus Asia, ECF platform. Okay, so they're into renewable energies, and they completed already 2 renewable energy projects, and they've got 2 more coming up soon. So their deal was a bit different. So they have a buyback option as well as annual dividends. So they have been giving out dividends, about 6% to their investors. And so out of the 24 investors, 11 has opted to take up the buyout offer. So they have concluded the buyout offer for 8 of their investors. And other notable achievements that I would like to highlight here is two bits. Okay, the first one is actually the successful follow-on fundraising post equity crowdfunding, equity crowdfunding campaign. So we've got 7 companies here, and each of them, have fundraised significantly, to further grow and expand their business. And we also have one company who's done a repeat campaign, and they've maximized their total 5 million threshold, and this is Kiosk LED. In 2017 as well as 2018, they concluded their 5 million fundraising. So another thing that I would like to highlight here is the support. This is the strong support from the Malaysian government to support equity crowdfunding, and they have allocated a total of 100 million ringgit, additional 50 million in this budget that was recently announced. And to us, this is really exciting because this is proof that the government is co-investing together with the public to support up-and-coming potential companies that can grow further and create wealth for the investors. And future outlook. So although there has, if you look at the growth from 2017-18 to 2018-19, in terms of amounts raised, there's a slight drop of 0.6, but we've seen a marked increase in the number of campaigns that's been published. We look forward to more exciting times in future, especially with the support of the government, and hopefully, if everything goes well, you'll see perhaps next year the launch of at least 1 or 2 secondary exchange that can actually support the interim exits for some of the investors. And also we foresee that with the additional support of the 50 million ringgit from the government, it will further push the growth and acceleration of this type of investments, especially to the general mass out there. Okay. That's all for me today, and I shall take the questions now. Okay, before I take up the questions, I just want to mention that from 2018-2019 alone, we, in total, the 7 crowdfunding platforms have actually received over about 465 applications. So as you can see, out of the 465, only 35 campaigns were actually published, and released. So that shows how each and every one of the equity crowdfunding platforms, look into the screening of the individual companies very seriously. So only the ones that actually meet the screening requirements or due diligence requirements will actually pass through before they can actually be publicized on each of the campaign platforms. So one of the questions is that any plans to incorporate digital assets into your platform? So this is something that we will, of course, actively discuss with the regulators, Securities Commission. Obviously, we want to look at introducing more and more exciting products and services to the marketplace. So this is something that I think the regulator would be in a better position to answer. One question on any failed ventures. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there has been 1 or 2 for whatever reason that I cannot disclose at this moment. And specific to other plus platforms, at the moment, we do not have any failed ventures. All the companies are going on very well. I would say majority of the companies are still very much here and going on strong. So one of the questions was, what's the expected returns for ECF and the highest and lowest return to date? So the returns that you can see are the three companies that has been showcased just now. But there are a few of the companies who are providing dividends individually, which we have not featured. So, so I guess if you say that lowest return to date in terms of exit and profit rate, the lowest that you can see that we showcased just now is 10% from Sekolah Fund. But other than that, will be dividends that individual companies have paid out. Okay. So there is a question on secondary market. So we are engaging with the Securities Commission on this. So we're looking at, or hopefully we would want to try and launch this at the soonest, but wait for it, and it will be in the news and you will be informed accordingly. Okay. I have a question here, so I'm going to take this question, and this is a question specific to actually a case from one of Arapla's campaigns, and this company is called FinSpark. So there has been quite a massive media coverage on FinSpark, mainly because the problem started due to the co-founders having disagreements amongst themselves, and unfortunately the disagreements actually were publicized to the public. But the matters has been settled, and the company is actually doing really, really well. And they've been giving monthly reports post the highly publicized matters, internal matters of their company. So to appease all their investors, they've been giving monthly reports on their performance, and so far everything is going good. Yeah. So there is a question on any plans to incorporate Islamic Sharia division. So I think one of the companies that has been approved the registration for equity crowdfunding is Ethis Ventures. So Ethis Ventures is a Sharia compliant equity crowdfunding platform. So those who are interested to look at that kind of asset class, you can speak to Ethis Ventures, and they have a booth, downstairs in LG1. So I think that's all. Any more questions? So that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Elaine.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.